Welcome back. Tim Moy is here, who is our Chief of Security, to talk to us a little bit about some things that seniors need to take into consideration when they have young children or grandchildren around. So kind of a scary thing.
Right. Yeah.
But we want to tell our senior community why it is important to know about the different kinds of drugs and things that the youth is actually getting into now.
Yeah, unfortunately, and there's some new trends that have started as well. We see the things that over the years, the last 50 years, the alcohol and the marijuana, but there's some different types of drugs. There's some over-the-counter drugs that our youth are using. And we bring this up, I know this is a senior community, obviously, but our seniors have grandkids. They have great grandchildren. I'm a new grandfather myself. I'm pretty excited about it. He's all 3 weeks old. I don't think he's dealing with these challenges
just yet.
But let me tell you, in 15 years, I'll make sure I'm informed, I'm educated, and that my daughter and son-in-law know about what the current risks are, whatever it may be at that time.
Right. And it is changing, as
it is changing.
And rapidly.
Right. And so, we know with the kids, the teens, that their bodies are still forming, their minds are still forming. A drug, alcohol, may have a different effect on them than it may on an adult or someone who's a little bit more used to.
Right. I know we talked about that before, where we talked about there's varying age or metabolism or height and that type of thing. So, but before we go into that, you said that what are some of the most common, teens commonly experiment with? There's something that they're doing now.
Right. Well, I could jump forward. I wanted to kind of hit on some of the old things that they're doing,
if
I could.
Yes, so alcohol and marijuana.
Right. So it's still alcohol, marijuana. It really is, and they're pretty creative with it. If you look back on maybe some of the things that happened when we were kids, and maybe our friends or others have tried doing. They would use the alcohol. They would get into their parents' liquor cabinet. Hey, I've got good kids. I've got two fine young men. One's an attorney. One used to jump out of airplanes for the 82nd Airborne. Wow. But let me tell you, I got these gray hairs for a reason, because they put me through a lot when they were teens, and they made some mistakes, and we know that happens. And we had just using a quick example, I think it was gin in our liquor cabinet. And, they weren't smart enough to take the whole bottle, but they took some of the gin and replaced it with water. And you don't think I'm going to catch that, right? But so they're going to try different little things. Right. And again, not to say that you have a bad grandson or great-grandson, but there's a lot of pressure out there with our kids.
Oh yeah, and it doesn't matter where it is.
No, and we, I think we need to do our part. And so if you know that you've got teens coming over, just be aware that those are some of the challenges, the peer pressure that they're facing. Maybe they're experimenting in some things, and so we've got to be careful. We don't want to contribute to it. So hey, lock up your liquor cabinet. Put that stuff away. Don't allow that to be a temptation for your grandson or your granddaughter.
Well, one thing that's interesting about that is, when you have get-togethers like Thanksgiving and Christmas and large family gatherings, there is a temptation to say, you know what, you're here at the table, have a glass of wine. Go ahead. What would you advise?
Well,
it's a tough one.
It is a tough one, but I think you have to take a look at the individual, first of all. You're talking about a 15-year-old, a 16-year-old, a 17-year-old? Absolutely not. Hey, a 20-year-old who's a few months away from turning 21, I'm not opposed to that. If we're going to keep them inside the home, they're not going anywhere. They're an adult. But when they're a teen, no, I'm not going to contribute to that at all.
Yeah,
no way.
But I agree with the getting closer to the age of 21. They should have some experimenting at home where you can help them out.
Yeah, we got to be careful.
I know that before my kids turned, 20, well, one of them's only 21 now, but. We said, okay, we laid it on the table and we tried everything, so they knew what it was like, so they knew how far not to go.
Sure.
So we thought that was probably a good idea.
And so you were involved with your kid's life.
Yep.
You knew about what was going on out, in society and with the pressures they were facing, and that's part of it. Having those open conversations. And for our community, it maybe you're having that conversation with your son or daughter who's going to have that conversation with their son or daughter, whatever it might be. But the other drug, is still marijuana as well.
Right.
And, that psychoactive ingredient is called delta-9 tetrahydrocannabinol. It's a big, long name. Most people know it as THC. Hey, when we were kids, the THC content in a marijuana cigarette, we'll call it, was about 2 to 3%. And so it would take you the whole cigarette, the whole marijuana joint to smoke. Nowadays, that THC content is up to 20 to 30%.
Wow.
So it may only take a few hits off that marijuana cigarette or that bong or whatever you're smoking from,
wow.
and you're under the influence. So we've got to be careful with those things as well. And again, we need to inform. We need to be aware of what's going on. We've got to have those conversations.
Well, and also many of our community residents do utilize marijuana instead of pain medication. So knowing the differences of what it used to be and what it is now, can they walk into a place and be able to say, okay, well, I really don't want something that's so super strong? I mean, is there options for that or not?
Right. So we've got a pretty active community who does use medical use marijuana quite a bit. So two different conversations almost that we're having. The kids, these teens, are not using CBD, and that does not have the THC, which is going to cause you to have that euphoria and that buzz and get you high. Our community is going more for the medical treatment as well. So the kids more to get high, the seniors here for the most part to treat ailments.
Okay, perfect. All right, and then other places that they can find some kind of opioids or something is in the medicine cabinets, right?
Yeah, I opened mine this morning just to take a look.
And, don't look at mine.
Right, and you see some of the things, if you've had some minor surgery or you had something that took place, and sure enough, you take about half of it and you leave the rest in the medicine cabinet. I think we've got some OxyContin in mine.
Oh, gosh.
OxyContin, major CNS depressant or central nervous system depressant. There's Vicodin. Valium, Xanax.
Norco.
There you go.
So isn't Norco, what is the difference between Norco and hydrocodone?
I think it's a different
brand?
Of it. But again, kids are experimenting with that.
Oh, yeah.
So the teens are looking around. It's a very common strategy for kids to go through their parents' medicine cabinets and take this and that. And I tell you what, they've got their own terminology, their own names for it. They're passing them around at parties, what have you. So again, lock up your medicine cabinets, put that stuff away. You've got a teen that's staying for the weekend or over summer vacation coming up. Get that out of them. Put it in your room somewhere where they're not going to find it.
Or if you have smaller children, make sure it's not sitting on the counter, because I know that when we would visit my parents, they don't think about it, and it's just sitting all out on the counter. I'm like, oh my gosh, it should be put away.
Get that stuff out of there.
Yeah, so we put it up high so the kids couldn't get to it. Tell me about purple drink. What is that?
What in the world is a purple drink? There's other names for it, lean, sizzurp. So our kids, hey, these teens are creative, and they'll take a cold medicine that has codeine in it, and they'll mix that with like Sprite or a Jolly Rancher, but they're just not mixing a normal dose. As you know, a normal dose is like going to treat your cold or treat whatever you're dealing with. But if you put 5 to 10 to 15 to 20 times in that, it can cause some hallucinations. It can cause that whole that drunken state. It puts you out on the nod. It's
oh my God.
Yeah. So I got to tell you, I didn't face that when I was in high school.
No,
didn't see it. So this is one of the new things. And there's another one out there.
Oh gosh.
Called robo-tripping.
Robo-tripping.
Where would you get? You're thinking, what is robo-tripping? And they get that from Robitussin.
NyQuil too?
Right, NyQuil, Dayquil.
What's in it that make Dex? Oh, dextromethorphan. How do you pronounce that?
Yeah, dextromethorphan.
Oh, there we go.
So DXM.
Yes.
And DXM in normal dosage is going to treat that cold issue that you're fighting with.
Right.
You triple the dose, quadruple it, and now it's a hallucinogen.
Oh my gosh.
So, you follow the directions, you're good to go. You don't, you're not.
Right.
And our kids have, for whatever
reason, that too, man.
They're doing that. So that's one. So if you hear something like that, if you hear purple drink or lean, or you hear robo-tripping in a conversation or a text message with one of your grandsons or what have you, or grandkids. I don't know why I said sons. Why do I always think it's the guys? No, this is
all of them.
It is.
Girls, boys, young.
Right.
And,
but that is extremely dangerous.
Absolutely.
And extremely accessible. We're talking about over-the-counter medications. we know we've got them all over our in our house, downstairs in the kitchen, upstairs in the medicine cabinet, you know. And then you also have the pill form, right, that you can take, and that's called skittling. So, you know, they use these terms for it, so that it just sounds like, oh, you're eating candy. You're not eating candy. You're getting high.
I think we need to have a list.
Oh,
like this list needs to be readily available somewhere.
Well, I tell you what, it's almost overwhelming, isn't it? Seriously.
It's crazy. I mean, how are you going to remember all these things?
Right. Well,
wow.
I think personally, you've got to stay informed, involved. You've got to do your research. You've got to have those conversations. Just stay in tune with what's going on out there.
Exactly.
I don't think most people even have heard of robotripping.
No.
Because that wasn't in our generations, and yet it is with this current generation of high schoolers and young adults that we're dealing with. I'm going to be speaking to high school teachers next Monday, and we're going to be going over all these things as well.
Great.
So they see it in the classrooms. They see kids who are on the nod, and that's not from staying up late studying. That's from taking something before coming to school.
Wow.
Right, and these are good kids.
Well, and some of our, obviously some of our seniors here, you know, they are around their young kids and like you said, the adults who are also having children. So this is really important that they're in the know, and then if the teachers are in the know and the parents, then at least everybody is partaking and educating them. So
and you know, you look at it with law enforcement. Law enforcement's got so many other problems. They don't want to be responding to the schools to deal with someone who may be under the influence of or going on a robo trip. They want the parents to deal with it. It's there's a lot going on out there. So so my recommendation, my words of advice is to stay involved with your grandkids. Keep an eye on what's going on. Have those difficult conversations with them. Impress them with your knowledge.
That's right, and the knowledge that you've learned here too. So thank you so much. Good information. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Good to see you.
And if you guys have any questions regarding what we have talked about here today, you can always contact security at 580-1400. But do make sure that you maybe even look it up online, what are some of these other drugs that we've talked about, so you can be in the know. Thank you. Be right back.
Very good.